This is Sam Whitwer, and you are listening to Page Turners. They were not.
Hello everyone, my name is Brennan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. Welcome to Page Turners, They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. I wanted to talk briefly about the latest episodes of Maul Shadow Lord. Episode 3 and 4. And yet again, the show is proving to be really, really excellent. I mean, obviously we've spoken about the animation being extraordinary. The style of it very much influenced by Into the Spider-Verse. And given it almost a painterly, impressionistic quality, which I absolutely love. What's fascinating to me is this is kind of like what we saw in Andor, where the local authorities are dealing with the problem. And in the case of Maul Shadow Lord, Brander Lawson does not want to call the Empire. As far as we know, he doesn't like the Empire much. And the great question about his ex-wife is, where is she? Why is it important to him? And apparently she works for the Empire, now we know. And I wonder if that's the reason they got divorced. If it was a matter of politics. And certainly not an unbelievable idea. Because of, we see that in the real world, is political divisions dividing families. But now we know, there's a lot of question of, is his wife force sensitive? And has that got something to do with what's going on? In fact, my friend Scotty Holliday pointed that out. Now, we don't know what she does for the Empire. But wouldn't it be interesting if she's an Inquisitor? I don't think that that's likely. But it's certainly a possibility. That would be interesting. But, so that's a little detail that now we know. And I do like the idea of Brander Lawson as this single dad who's trying to be there for his son, but he's also a cop. And his police work often takes him away from home. So I like that. One of the things that is really fascinating is the seduction of Devon Izara. The scene with Maul in the dark, basically toying with her, is a brilliant scene. Particularly as far as animation, the use of color, and the use of dark and also the red color of Maul's lightsaber that Devon is using. But he's sort of playing these games with her. And whether or not, I mean, we're going to see, obviously, how this goes as to whether or not she's going to fall for his schemes. And one of the interesting things about it is he's dealing in half-truths. Which I think, you know, as I often talk about my religious beliefs on this podcast, I do believe in the devil, and I do believe that often he doesn't outright lie to people. What I think the devil does is uses a lot of half-truths. And we see this in Star Wars all the time. A lot of the Darksiders don't lie. They tell half-lies. They give you sort of a hook of telling you something that is true, and then jumping in with something that is a lie. But because part of their argument is true, the technical problem. So Maul is sort of reeling her in by giving her the hook that is true, and then using some of that falsehood. We saw that, particularly with the stranger in the Acolyte. Because part of his argument was correct, it's easy to fall for it and fall for the lie. The other half of the argument, which is a lie. So Maul is doing that, and the question of whether Devon is eventually going to buy into his lies, we don't know. But regardless, I think that's absolutely brilliant. There's a lot that I really, really enjoy in these episodes. And I think that there's so much we could talk about. But it is interesting to me, particularly Two Boots calling the Empire, because that's his protocol. And we know that Brander Lawson doesn't want the Empire showing up. And so he deactivates Two Boots. But then I guess that he was reactivated by the other police when everything went wrong with the negotiations, quote unquote. So, regardless, I really think the arrival of the Imperial Star Destroyer was a bone-chilling moment. Obviously, we have seen plenty of Star Destroyers in Star Wars. But this one showing up brought a particular level of dread to the scenario. The Empire, according to protocol, needed to be called because we were dealing with people with lightsabers. Not only Maul, but Master Ducky and Devin. And the Empire, of course, still hunting down Jedi, is probably showing up with Inquisitors. And I think we saw a bit of them in the trailers, so this should be interesting. But the way that the Star Destroyer showed up was, quite frankly, terrifying. Now, not to get real world, but it felt like, forgive this, but ice showing up. That's what it felt like. It felt like it's not just the law enforcement of, like, the police. Now you're calling in the nasty heavy hitters. And that's the kind of frighteningness. Now, I was just watching The Pit, and not to spoil anything, but there is an episode where ICE officers show up. And it's terrifying. It really is. That's the kind of feeling I got with these Star Destroyers showing up. And I think that they did it very, very well in the show to make even the audience afraid. So, that's really what's going on here. And I think it is exceptionally done. And there's a lot I could say, but that's where I'm going to leave it. And now I'm on the edge of my seat for next week, because I want to know what's going to happen now. And is Brander Lawson's wife part of this group? Are we going to get that uncomfortable reunion? And it's pretty clear to me that Lawson does not like the Empire. And so we'll see where it goes. But I'm excited. And this is a show that I would highly recommend. So, that's what I gotta say. My name is Brennan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. Thank you for tuning in to Page Turners. They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. And my review of Maul Shadow Lord episodes 3 and 4. May the Force be with you.